All right, in this week's video, I want to talk about a question I keep getting asked all the time. Where did all the home buyers go in Northern Virginia and DC? So we're going to break down all the facts for you, show you exactly what's going on in the market. So let's get right into the video. So let's get right into the video and talk about all the current facts of the market. Definitely subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'm trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. I said it like a game show host there just to get you excited. So one of the things that a lot of home buyers I've noticed have been talking to me about, obviously, is the interest rates, as the Fed just announced the rates are going up even further. But one thing people don't realize, when the Federal Reserve actually raises rates, it doesn't immediately affect the mortgage rates. It does take a couple months. So one of the things I wanted to break down was on a $500,000 house, now this doesn't include taxes or insurance, but at 4% rate, which was about like last year, that would have cost you $2,387 a month. At a 6% rate, which we're about at right now, that would cost you $2,998 a month. So it is a difference of a couple $100. It's not the extreme difference that most home buyers think it is. And so that's one of the things that I like to tell people when people call me and say, hey, Chris, I'm thinking about buying with the interest rates. And what I tell a lot of them is marry the house, not the mortgage. You can always refinance later down the road. But if you are thinking about buying, which I've said several times on this channel, definitely don't buy if you're a flipper or if you're thinking, hey, I'm only gonna be here for 2 to 3 years. You wanna look at a place that you can build a nice foundation in. A good 7 years at least is what I recommend that people stay in their house. What are your thoughts on that? But let's continue with the video. All right, so let's talk about like the national real estate market, because sales are down about 30% across the nation and locally here as well. But in the last 12 months, there was 4.75 million sales in the United States. But in that previous 12 months, there were 6.2 million, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, the interest rates were down around like 3%. As we know, housing prices continued to rise and kept going up, but sales across the country are down about 30%. All right, so let's talk about our local market here in Northern Virginia. There's a couple different things I like to go through. And one of the things that really caught me off guard is if you look at Alexandria, Arlington, Loudoun, and Fairfax, the amount of houses that went for sale are actually down 30%. And then you get into Prince William, 24%. And then you get into Fauquier, down 18%. So there's actually not a lot of houses coming on the market. Now, of course, houses are definitely taking longer to sell. But a lot of people have said to me, hey, I've seen a lot more signs and things like that, but it's actually just not the case. I think it's more of like the media talking about the market constantly. So when you look at the actual numbers there, like I said, Arlington and Alexandria have a 30% down of new houses coming on the market, so there's not a ton of new listings coming on the market. And houses are actually still selling fairly quickly. So when you look in Arlington, the average days on market was 23 days, Prince William was 15, Fauquier was 23, Alexandria was 18, Loudoun 16, and then Fairfax was 18. Now you got to keep in mind, we're still in a seller's market. So typically, once you get above 3 to 6 months of inventory or houses taking to sell, like let's say the average days was 120 days on the market, then we become more of a buyer's market. So Northern Virginia is still in a seller's market. I want to know in the comments below, what do you guys think about that? What are you seeing where you live? so one of the most shocking things to me as I went through the market, I think eventually this will start to change as we see the market get a little bit more stale. And what I've told some people is we're actually seeing a more normal market of what we had before COVID came along, right? When the government pumped a couple $1 trillion into the economy. One thing that's funny is I really like sneakers. As you've seen my spinning sneaker in the background before of my other previous videos. And the prices of sneakers and like Bitcoin and things like that have drastically come down because why? The government is not giving away a bunch of free money anymore, which is honestly a good thing why we had so much inflation. But let's talk about the average or medium sold prices for our area. And one thing you're gonna find is really shocking. Now, the only outlier of the whole Northern Virginia marketplace was actually Alexandria, where the prices were down 9% year over year, or for 400. They went down to about 543,000. I always tell people Alexandria though is really tough. There's a high condo market there. Condos have always, historically, no matter where you are, if you're in Miami, New York City, and Los Angeles, they take longer to sell due to the high condo fees. But Fairfax County's prices were up 5%. Prince William was up 8%, where the legend himself lives. So clearly, I have a ton to do with the rising house values here. The camera guy is shaking his head unbelievably. He agrees with me as well. Loudoun was up 7%. So you have a medium sales price in Loudoun of $660,000. Arlington up just 1.5%. And then Fauquier was up 3%. So what do you guys think about that? Like, even though everyone's saying the market has drastically slowed down, sales prices are still increasing on an average of like in the area from 5 to 9%. So what do you guys think? Definitely comment below. All right, so kind of just like round out the video a little bit more, one other thing I want to talk about is the number of active listings is definitely still decreasing. One thing I noticed in some of my research was Fairfax and Fauquier counties have seen the lowest number of active listings they've had in several years, which really surprised me. Fauquier is definitely more of a smaller market, and then Fairfax, that kind of makes sense as people kind of decide to stay where they're at. A lot of jobs are telling people they're not going to be working from home anymore, so a lot of people in Fairfax are not moving further out to the suburbs and all that. But one thing where the story gets a little different is you got to remember new construction, they are actually now in a buyer's market. So if you're thinking about buying, one thing I went through some of my research was new construction homes are almost on like an 8-month inventory. So a lot of new construction builders are going to be giving out incentives, free bonuses, all kinds of different things. What ended up happening, a lot of their construction got delayed, and of course, worker shortages through COVID. So obviously now they're stuck with a lot of pent-up inventory. And also keep in mind, new construction prices always have a huge premium on them as well. So if you're looking to maybe get in a new construction, like a good deal, I put a couple under contract here recently. You can lock in that great deal. House might not be done for 8 to 12 months, but hey, at the end of the day, you know, at that point, maybe the rates go down, maybe they don't, but you can at least probably right now, before the end of the year comes out, when they're giving a bunch of incentives, get yourself a really good deal on a new construction. One other thing that's funny is, like, I went through this summer, I did on a couple road trips. Everywhere I went, I saw a ton of new construction homes, especially like in Florida and Georgia. We just don't have that in Northern Virginia anymore. The other thing is, a lot of these data centers are coming in. So a couple of the developers, especially here in Prince William County, have flipped their land over to the data centers and are no longer building houses because it's more lucrative for them to sell their land to a data center company. And then also just keep in mind, this past Wednesday, the Federal Reserve, like I said, raised the rates again. So if you are thinking about buying, it might be a good time. Now, if you're thinking about selling, that's a different story. Definitely text me at the number below anytime, and I'll talk to you more about that. There's a couple of things that I do before I put a house on the market, making sure it shows well and teach you how to get top dollar for your home. But I want to hear in your comments below, what do you guys think about the local market? Where do you think Northern Virginia and DC goes from here? I've said this plenty of times on my videos. If DC, Northern Virginia, and Maryland go down, the rest of the country is going with us because we're highly government backed. And you guys know how it is. This area is so transient. So definitely subscribe as I try my road to get to 10,000 subscribers. Once we do that, maybe I'll do a huge give away to one of my subscribers like Mr. Beast. Now, I'm not talking like $1 million or a Lamborghini, but maybe like a $500 gift card to wherever, a good local restaurant. So definitely, guys, as always, I will see you at the top or from the top of the Capitol building where they probably will not let me in. But anyways, you guys know what I mean. Peace. I love you all.